Good morning. Welcome to our Amud Yomi Shiur. Kiddushin. We are in Daf Hey Amud Aleph. Hey Amud Aleph in the bottom of the page. Yichud. Today we're going to start yichud Be'ezras Hashem, but we're not there yet. We are towards the end of Hey Amud Aleph. Tanya Kavosed Rabbi Yochanan. This Shiur Le'ilu Nishmas Rabbi Moiri Menachem Ben Akiva. Us Bas Shalom Sol Bas Moshe Aviva Bas Moshe Uleatzlochas Klal Yisrael. And we should all be able to create Kiddush Hashem and bring Klal Yisrael to its final Geula. We saw yesterday Machlokes Rabbi Yochanan and Resh Lakish regarding what? Remember, what's the halacha if, in certain cases, you decide that because of a chazaka something is tome? You have a sofek if a certain item is tome. For example, there's dough in the house and there's a baby next to the dough, and the baby touched the dough. The baby, the toddler, is muchzak to be tome because babies usually like to touch shrotzim. They like to play with the wrong kind of things, and they touch the dead shrotzim in the garbage. And therefore, a baby or a toddler is muchzak to be tome. And therefore, we highly assume that he touched the isa, the dough, and the dough is tome. But how far do we take that chazaka? We don't know that the baby touched the tumah, and we don't even know that the majority of the babies in this house, if they actually touch the tumah. We have a general, worldly, out there kind of chazaka. Ruba deleise lekamon. It's a combination of roiv and chazaka. The roiv creates a chazaka. Because most babies are like that, it creates a chazaka that every baby is muchzak to be like that. That's a lomdus. So do we take it all the way and we say, hey, the truma is tome, 100%, let's burn it? Who says that? That's Resh Lakish. Yochanan says, hold it. I know that we should be concerned it's tome, but we don't burn it, but we're rather toiling. We don't burn it and we don't eat it. We let it rot on the shelf. Yeah, we don't. Why? Because as I told you many times, you can't just be machmir and be metame and burn truma. Because if truma is not tome, you're not allowed to burn it. Okay, the Seder. So now, very good. Here comes a brisa to support Rabbi Yochanan. Shnei dvorim en b'em das lishoel v'asom chachomim k'mo sheyesh b'em das lishoel. Let me explain. Yeah, this is a brisa supporting the opinion of Rabbi Yochanan that sofek, that chazaka is not all the way, but only to be, it's enough to be concerned about tumah. What is the brisa telling us? The brisa says as follows: Shnei dvorim. There are two things that ein b'hem das lishoel. They're in two cases where we deal with something, with an entity that has no mind, somebody that you can't talk to, you can't communicate with. V'asum chachomim, and yet chachomim consider them as if they are yesh b'hem das lishoel, as if it's somebody you can communicate with. What? Well, the story is as follows. The Gemara in Nida. The Gemara Nida, Daf Daled, says that what does the Gemara Nida say? Sorry for the noise. The Gemara says that although we learn from Soita that Sofik Tumah B'Shus HaYochid is Tomeh, right? What do we learn from Soita? She closed herself alone in the room with a man, and we assume the worst. As long as Beis HaMikdash water, the Mayim Me'orerim, did not clear her reputation, she's assumed to be not Tomeh in Tumah, as Osir, equivalent to Tomeh. So too, anything in Reshus HaYochid, which I don't know, wasn't there Tumah, we assume the worst. However, says the Gemara Nida, and says the Rambam, that is only true if the person is, if the Sofik Tumah happened to somebody that has Das Lishoel. You see a person who's a person who you can talk to, and he has a Sofik, oi, did I touch the shirts or didn't I touch the shirts? We don't know. We don't know whether you touch the sheretz or not in Reshus HaYochid, then we assume the worst. But if the person is ein bodas lishoel, you see a person who's mentally challenged, a shoite. You see a person who's a cotton, well, except for this exception, yeah? Usually we see that people or animals, I don't know if the animal yet touched the tumah, and now the animal is now, and that tumah, animals don't become tumah when they're alive, by the way, but they can be metam, they can transmit tumah, as we're going to see. So in those cases, we say, no, it's toho. Sofek tumah b'shus hayachid is toho. However, here we come to the exception. The exception to the rule is, we're going to see two exceptions to the rule. What are they? Tinoik void acheres. a tinok, a toddler, although tinok is not somebody you can ask the question, but we relate to him as if you can. In another case, what does that mean? Tinok hodamor. Now the Gemara, that's the end of the brisa. Now the Gemara begins to elaborate and explain the brisa. Tinok hodamor. The baby is what we just said. What did we say? That although a baby normally, if I have a suffix on a tinok, on tuma, that's 50-50, I would say, let's be metahel. He's tahor, he's not like a soito. A soito is a person that has the right mind, except she's a sinner. Yeah, but she's otherwise a sane person. The shenken a tinok, yeah, the tinok is not anybody you can talk to, and we say that it's tahor. However, because a tinok is metapeach ba'ashpa, because tinoikas, they always touch the garbage with the dead sherotzim inside, with the dead rodents and the dead mice inside and the dead toads. Mimela, we say that if he touched the isa is tome. The tinok is an exception to that rule. The oidacheres mahi. What is the other case which is an exception to the rule regarding an animal? The question is as follows: Isa betoy chabais. Let's say, remember, there are 3 items in the house. Imagine yourself the following picture. Isa betoy chabais. There's dough in the house. Ve'tarnegoilim. And the tarnegoilim, what are they? Tarnegoilim, these are the roosters, chicken, yeah, running around, live chicken. The mashkim tmeim sham. The third item, there's mashkim tmeim. There's a mashke. I'm not saying which mashke. I'm not giving an example on purpose. There's some kind of drinks, yeah. You can think of wine, milk, oil, water, Sprite, Coke. Yeah, mashkim tmeim sham. So listen, there are 3 things. There's a dough in the kitchen. There's chicken running around, it's like a guy who lives in a moshav or something, and they also have mashkim that are tome, a barrel, a bottle of something, of liquids that are tome. V'nimtzeu, oh, here comes trouble. V'nimtzeu nekurim ba'isa. Inside the dough, you see marks of nekurim, of pecking. You see pecking marks, traces of the beaks of the birds, and it looks like the dough's tarnegoilim, they picked into the dough. Makes a lot of sense. It's quite clear. What do you do with that isa? What's the concern? Toiling. What do we do? Well, obviously, what's the concern? Maybe those animals, they had a whole feast, bread and wine. Maybe they took from the mashkim tmeim with their beaks full of mashketome. They now went to the dough and they pecked the dough with their beaks that are full of mashkim tmeim. So that's a concern. Even though I can't talk to the chicken, the rooster, the hen, and I can ask him, excuse me, Mr. Rooster, you can't ask him, he doesn't know how to talk. So then we're machmir, but what's the level of chumrah? Toilin. What's toilin? Lo oichlin velo sofin. Now we got it right. Just like in the case of the chicken, although we're machmir, and it's an exception to the rule, and we're not machmir all the way. What do you mean we're not machmir all the way? We don't burn. We play it safe. We leave it on the shelf to rot. And the same thing applies to a baby. Very good. Because the 2 brises were mentioned together. Just like it's one brisa mentioning 2 cases. Just like the case of the tarnegoilim, we don't burn the truma, we toilet the truma. So too the tinok hametapeach, the ashpa, the tinok that touches the garbage and then touches the dough, we say, no, we're machmir, but we're not going to burn it. We're only going to toilet, to leave it to rot, not do anything. Exactly like Rabbi Yochanan against the opinion of Rish Lakish. Amar B'Shua ben Levi. Now we're going to elaborate more on the topic of, in the case of those Tanigoylim. Amar B'Shua ben Levi. What did Rabbi Shua ben Levi say? Yeah. Rabbi Shua ben Levi, by the way, it's a question if it was a Tana or an Amoira. He was like an early Amoira, and he's sometimes mentioned in the Mishnah. He's mentioned in Ovois and in other places. So he's like in between Tana and Amoira. Yesterday I saw there's an opinion that says Rabbi Shua ben Levi went up to Shamayim alive. You know? Kach yesh omrim, such a holy person. Amar Rabbi Shua ben Levi. Lo ishonu. This is only true that we are concerned that maybe the chicken they packed into the dough. Lo ishonu ele b'mashkim levonim. That is only true about white or clear mashkim that are of clear, of fair kind of complexion, not complexion, of color, light color, milk, water, Sprite, whatever, v'chule. Mashkim levonim, aval b'mashkim adumim, Yeah, if the story happened when you have in the house red wine, yeah, something like that, something red wine or dark color on a Coke maybe. In is then we're not concerned. Why aren't we concerned? Because in Isa denokir, if the chicken would have really pecked inside, made the idea, we would have noticed it would have left red marks. In other words, the fact that it's pecked and there are no red marks, the only tome item I have in the house is red wine, dark, dark dry wine, this kind. It's dark, it's red, and if the dough looks nice and clean, not clean because it's pecked, but there's no red marks, so then I don't have to be concerned. Only if the mashke is whitish and then may not leave the color marks, then we are concerned. I frag the Gemore v'dilma blatinu isa. Why? How do you know? Maybe the isa absorbed it, swallowed it. Maybe there was red wine with the beak. He entered the isa, and now the red wine is inside. It's all swallowed and absorbed inside, and you should still be concerned. Therefore, the Gemara comes now with the final answer. Amar b'Yochanan, dover zeh shoma berebi. Rabbi Yochanan says berebi means gdol hador. Godel Ador, Shimon Levi's Godel Ador, he heard something, uperushe lo shoma. In other words, he's basically saying in a very respectful way that Rabbi Shimon Levi didn't get his facts exactly right. Meaning, what's the real story? Lo ishanu el b'mashkim tzlulim. We're now differentiating within red wine also, within red mashke. When is it that a red wine we are okay with? Yeah. Loshanu ela, or we're actually not okay with b'mashkim tzlulim shebavua shel tinok nikar bo, which means aval mashkim achurim loy. Let me explain. There are two factors here: the color of the drink, the color of the liquid, and also how dense is it or how clear is it versus how cloudy or murky is it. That's the story. Which means, let's say you have red wine. Shall we or shall we not be concerned that the animal, the bird, pecked and drank some of the red wine and then went and pecked the dough? Yes or no? Well, we say, if it's red, then there's no concern. Not true. Maybe the red wine is all absorbed and all swallowed already. Depends. So now depends. When you have mashkim tzlulim, if you have the mashke that's very clear, clear means very runny, very liquidy, very clear, not murky and cloudy and dense. The viscosity is very, very clear. And then we say, how clear is that? That the baby's face, I don't know why dafka baby, would be mirrored, would be reflected in that wine. The red wine is red, but it's so runny, it's so clear in a way, it's not murky and cloudy, that the baby's face can be seen like a mirror, like a reflection of himself. Then we say that we should be concerned. We should be. Why? Very nice that it's red, but maybe it's absorbed inside. Because clear, runny drinks, they can be swallowed very quickly, and you don't know. You're none the wiser. Only if it's both red and thick, then it leaves the marks because it's red, and it doesn't get absorbed very quickly because it is really very murky and it leaves marks outside. Therefore, let's summarize. If you have, we'll have to keep all these halachas, Rabbi Isai. And now you have the red wine, which is red, or red wine, red, I don't know, ketchup, whatever. Ketchup is a good one. What? Beet juice, right? Okay, good. So let's say you have something, depends how murky that is. Yeah, Boston. Yeah. Right. It's true. Right. Oh, that's also true. Generally speaking, if you have a mashke that is both dark in color and quite cloudy and murky, not so runny, then if the chicken is running around and all you see are pecking in you see pecks in the dough, but you don't see any red marks, then you know it's okay. So something like that would have left red marks. But all other combinations, either it's clear mitzvah the color, clear mitzvah the viscosity is okay. And it's not okay, then you have to be concerned. I mean, to say you have to be concerned that really he drank from this and he didn't leave any marks. He did a clean job, but he pecked into the dough without leaving any marks. Baruch Hashem. Says the Eilige Mishnah, Be'ezras Hashem, now we're starting halachos of yichud. Again, when I say halachos, as I told you a million times, this is not a halacha shiur. We're just going to learn about the yisoidus, the sources and the basics of yichud. and that can give us ideas la halacha also. But obviously, I'm not telling you here in halacha lamaisa. Says the Mishnah. A man is not allowed to have yichud with two women. Whenever we think of yichud, we automatically are geared to say, "Oh, what's a yichud?" And a woman should not close themselves in a room alone and lock the door or be undisturbed because maybe they'll come to do whatever they're going to come to do. Here comes the Mishnah straight away and breaks the myth. One man is not allowed to have yichud with two women, and the Gemara is going to explain why. Because women are daitan kala, as Rab Shimon Bar Yochai said in Masechet Shabbos, women are easily tempted, easily seduced, and now also men. But the difference is daitan kala lispatois, and also they will keep each other secret. If they both will know that they did the sin, they have their sisterhood. Women have this, fraternity between them, and now they will not tell on each other, and the secret will stay theirs. Aval isha achas misyechedes im shnei anoshim. One woman is allowed to have yichud with two men. We're talking about two kosher men, two Jewish kosher men, true men who otherwise are not known to sin, right? So one woman with two men can have yichud because we assume that the men will have busha, to echad boish mechavero. One man will feel shemtzach, will feel wrong to have the avera in front of his friend. He thinks I'm a choshev guy, I'm a good, true man. How will I, tarnish my good reputation in front of my friend? He's going to tell on me. And therefore, one woman with two men, if they're kosher, she may have yichud. That's the beginning of the Mishnah. But that's also true halacha. By the way, shtei noshim, there's a question, big machlokes rishonim, to be continued, not today. And that is, what about 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8? Yeah, no, a man gives shiur. I had this question. No, to give shiur, my friend. In a closed seminary, everyone went home. Yeah, everyone went home, including the secretary and the menahel, and you're a man, teacher, and you're a very kosher person. You teach a bunch of 20 girls about, I don't know, Shemitah. Why are you laughing? It's a halacha. I had this random. Okay, it's a question. One man with 20 women. Machlokes. Rashi says that it's mutter, and other Rishonim say it's aser. Yep. Weiter. Let's see. Rabbi Shimon Omer. That's number one. Now comes a big headache. Rabbi Shimon Omer. Af ish echad misyached im shtei noshin. One man may have yichud with two women. Wow. Rabbi Shimon is adding two factors. He's saying one man may have yichud, close himself in the room with two women, if his wife is also there. The Rishonim are asking the question, what exactly are you saying? It looks like you argue with Tanakama on two things. First of all, you say a man may have yichud with two women, providing that your wife is also with you, right? So now Tosfos asks the question, what are you telling me? That really Rabbi Shimon says that if your wife is there, then he takes care of business if two women. Rabbi Shimon says, I need two security mechanisms. Two women plus your wife, then it's okay, right? So now Tosfos asks the question, a few questions. I'm not going into all these questions, but Tosfos asks the Gemara in Avodah Zarah. This is something we have to know. The Gemara in Avodah Zarah says, what about a woman having yichud with a goy? Well, obviously it's aser. What about if the goy and his wife are there, right? I don't know if his wife is in the room all the time. His wife goes in and out the room. Then we say there's a chashash. A goy, even with his wife being close by, may still try to chaparain, and his wife, maybe she doesn't care so much. I don't know. They're so porutz, the goyim, even with his wife around, he would still do it. Now, mashma, the Gemara says, that a yid, no, that a yid, one woman, with one Jewish guy with his wife in the house is allowed to have yichud, right? Not only two women, even one, and not only according to Reb Shimon. Yeah, looks like even men and women with his wife alone, him, her, and his wife, is okay. Yeah, by a Jewish person. Lekula alma, lekach nira lari. I'm starting now the end of Tosfos because I just wanted to save us the time of the question. You are welcome to follow me to Tosfos, the first Tosfos in the page. A few lines before the bottom of the page, look how Tosfos says the girsa. Lekach nira lari. We are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 7 lines from bottom of the Tosfos, the first Tosfos. Instead of Rabbi Shimon, there is a girsa leRabbanon. LeRabbanon eino osur ela kshen ishto imoy dafka. Wow. Even according to Rabbanon also, the girsa is not Rabbi Shimon, it's Rabbanon. Yeah, the Bach changes the girsa. Even Rabbanon agreed to Rabbi Shimon that A man and a woman are not allowed to be alone only if his wife is not there. But if you have Reuven, Rochel, and Reuven's wife, it's okay also for Rabbanon, as is mashma from Avodah Zorah. I'm telling you things halacha l'maisa. You, your wife, and a girl can be together in the room. The Achi Gelsinan. Now, what's the real version here? Rabbi Shimon Omer Af ish echad misyachad im shtei noshim. Oh, that's the machlokas. Rabbi Shimon argues on the Tanakama and says one man with two women is always okay, according to Tosfos, according to Rabbi Shimon. He says, no, I argue, yeah, one man with two women is also fine, even without his wife. Now later on, we'll see in the Mishnah, Bizman sheishto imay yoshen imoin bepundoki mipnei sheishto mishamaltoi. Oh, what happens, and that's going to be the next part of the Mishnah. Let's continue the Mishnah together with Tosfos. The Mishnah continues, the next issue is sleeping in the same house. Halacha l'maisa, you should know, overnight yichud, I'm not going to details, is worse than daytime yichud. When you meet your secretary, I don't know, a girl in the bank, a clerk in the bank to discuss the mortgage, yeah, the atmosphere is usually less romantic than night, right? So then yichud is osir, but there are different gedorim. Yichud at night, to have a sleepover, yeah, even in separate rooms, but just you and a woman in a house is much more chomor. And here the Mishnah comes to be mechadesh that yoshen bepundokim mipnei sheishto mishamaltoi. If his wife is there, then he can even sleep in the same room with another woman, either two women according to Reb Shimon, yeah, or even one woman, and Tosfos continues, that kula also applies to Rabbanon. The kids, according to Tosfos, the argument is only one argument. The Reb Shimon holds that two women is okay with one man. And what about the next sentence? That's l'kula alma. Everyone agrees that although sleeping at night in the same house is more problematic, nevertheless, the wife is mishamaltoi l'kula alma. A woman, if your wife is there, it's okay. And both Rabbanan and Reb Shimon agreed that the wife is mishamer is fine. That is Tosfos. The Goin, now let's look at the Goin. Look in the Girsa here, yeah. There is a Gois Agro. The Gro argues. The Gro learns the Mishnah to be different. He says Tosfos and Rif are wrong. The Rif is like Tosfos. He argues on Tosfos. The Gro argues loud on Rishonim. And he says very simply, Agav the Tanakama Komer Shtei Noshim, Nokat Gamken Reb Shimon Shtei Noshim. Yeah, which means, really, the Gro says something very, very simple. Very simple. Says it as follows. Bechloikes Reb Shimon and Rabbanon is as follows. According to Reb Shimon, he was the one who's mechadesh that your wife in the room helps. You, the girl, and your wife is kosher. That's Reb Shimon's invention, Reb Shimon's idea. So why did Reb Shimon say shtei noshim? Because Rabbanon spoke about shtei noshim. That's all. He speaks in their language. You spoke about one man with two women is osir. I'm telling you that one man with two women with his wife is mutter. And the same thing with one girl also. He's not saying you have to have two mechanisms, two seat belts, two mechanisms of two security mechanisms. According to Reb Shimon, according to the Gra, Reb Shimon is the one who was mechadesh. The idea of ishtoy ima, his wife with him, is kosher. And Rabbanan didn't say that. And the Gemara of the Zohar follows Reb Shimon. And that's the halacha. Halacha is a Reb Shimon, that your wife and you and another girl is okay to be in the room, in the house, even sleepover. There's no gala halacha. You are in the same house with your wife. You live alone, you and your wife, an elderly couple. And now you have some 20 years old second cousin came from America. That's very nogea, right? She came from Sem. She wants to sleep Shabbos in your house, in a separate room. Is that allowed? It's not so simple. Comes the Mishnah said it's allowed, according to Reb Shimon. Okay? That's what happens. Again, halacha l'maisa, ask your rabbi, but this is what stated in the Mishnah. Continues the Mishnah. Misyached odamim imoy ve'im bitoy. A man is allowed to have yichud with his mother and his daughter. Sister, we're going to see later, is not so simple. You're allowed to have yichud with your sister, but there's a limitation. But a man is allowed to have yichud with his mother and his daughter. And also, here comes another issue. The yoshen imo and bekiruv boso. He's also allowed to sleep in the same bed with them closely. Yeah, in other words, not even well dressed. Yeah, you're allowed to mamish sleep in the same bed with them. Once they grow, once the son or the girl they grow, and we're going to see in the Gemara, they begin to have puberty. Then they have to be dressed properly, can sleep in the same bed, providing that you're properly fully dressed in pajama, then it's okay. But otherwise, you can sleep in the same bed even naked as long as the child is little. Yeah, there's no hard feelings. All that will be explained in the Gemara, although not today, but that will be discussed later. Look, the Gemara. My time. The Gemara is asking the question: why is there a difference that one man with two women not allowed, right, and two men with one woman is allowed? What's the difference? Tana de Leo Novi is telling us. Women have more of a flight, they're more easily convinced, more emotional. They go with their too light-hearted, and therefore what? And therefore they're going to be mispate, they'll be seduced, and they will not tell on each other. The men can be seduced in a different way. The man seduces the woman, and the man would not want the other man to see that he's behaving like that. Yeah, because men are also more competitive. Women are more like, have their own groupie thing. Now comes the Gemara with another question. How do you know about yichud to begin with? Who told you that yichud is osur? It's not written mefush in the Torah. It's not written in the Torah explicitly black on white. Yichud is osur. So how do you know the yichud is osur? Amar Rabbi Yochanan mishum Rabbi Shmuel. Rabbi Yochanan is quoting Rabbi Shmuel. Remez lichud min Torah minayin. It's a remez. How do you know there's like pshat remez drash soid? How do you know the yichud is there on the level of remez, of like an illusion? Shenema, it says about mesis to mediach. And mesis is the person who tries to convince you to worship Avodah Zarah. Yeah, he's the one who's not seducing, is convincing to worship Avodah Zarah. Shenemar, ki yasischo achicha ben imecha. The Torah says, even if your brother, the son of your mother, is coming, secretly at night, two boys, in the bedroom, in the kids' room, let's go do Avodah Zarah. It's such a cool thing. So what do? You're supposed to not have Rahmanus, even though he's your brother. You should not listen to him, and should try Beis Din to come and execute him. Zok the Gemara, the chiben aim mesis ben av eino mesis. Why is the Torah elaborating, saying that a ben aim is the one mesis? Maybe it's also his brother from the father's side. Why are you telling me this is some kind of divorced family or an almana? That they are children of the same mother? Sounds like they're not children from the same father. Yeah, second marriage, whatever. Why? Why is the Torah dafka talking in such a case? Ella, the reason is loymar lecha, to tell you ben misyachedim imoy. Ben imecho means in a household a son and a mother can be together. It's a very interesting, very rochik minadas. The Torah says ben misyachedim imoy. It's coming to show you the son, your brother, the son of your mother, meaning even if your mother is alone and just you and the brother and the mother, that is okay. That kind of family picture is kosher to have the son and the mother living together, as opposed to with the mother, it's okay to have yichud, as opposed to all other women. Other arayas, you're not allowed to have yichud with other women, even women that are close to you. Yeah, let's say whatever, with your aunt, the moshel. Yeah, you can't have yichud, she's also in you. Zog the Gemara, pashte de krobe maiksiv. But at the end of the day, this is definitely remez. What's the pshat? The pshat of the Torah is talking not about yichud. The pshat talks about, soliciting people to do Avodah Zarah. So still, why is the Torah, in the context of Avodah Zarah, talking about the son of your mother and not your father? Omar Abaye explains as follows. Lomi baika Omar. Yeah, he works in what I call in English, needless to say. Lomi bai ben av, needless to say that you won't listen to ben av, your father's son, which is your brother only through the father, could be also through the mother, but the main issue here that you both share the same father, the sanile. Brothers of the same father, sometimes they tend to hate each other. Why do they hate each other? Because in their minds, they're thinking, who's going to get the Yerusha? Some people are more Yerusha oriented than others, yeah. But Lemaisa, people, it's always this competition, who's going to Yarshan, the money, or also the fame, the fortune. There's a bit of competition there between who's going to be the next to throne. The brother automatically thinks about the other brother from the father. He's meyayetz, bad advice from me. Why should I follow, my brother Reuven? Why should I follow his advice to go do Avodah Zarah? maybe he's plotting something against me because we have this, unspoken, tension here about the Yerusha. I wouldn't listen to him anyways. Ela, the Torah says, afilu ben aim, deloy sanile. If you only share one mother, a mother does not bequeath the money to her children. As we said, she bequeaths to her husband if he's alive, to brother's father, to her side. She doesn't give it to the children. So ben aim deloy sanile. So there's nothing to hate about. I mean, sometimes they would hate, but there's no Yerusha issue at least. Aim at I would say, listen, naturally, I like my buddy, my brother through the mother. We don't have any Yerusha issues. So maybe I should listen to him. Maybe he really has my best interest, in his mind. Kamash Malan, don't do that. KML. Kamash Malan, no. You cannot listen to him because even though it sounds very nice and good and tempting and very with it and very 2024, still you should not worship a Avodah, even if it's your best buddy, brother, do not listen to him. Back to yichud proper. Name a masnis in the loy Abba show. Right? What did the Mishnah tell us? The Mishnah told us, again, let's remember the rule, that one man with two women is not allowed. Right? Two women, what did they say? One man with two women is not allowed. Yeah, two women with one man is not allowed. Two men with one woman is allowed. Now that seems to be name a masnis in the loy Abba show. Our Mishnah sounds like, or Nema, let's suggest that our Mishnah doesn't follow Abba Shol, because Abba Shol, it looks like, says that one man may have yichud with two women. The Tanya says in the Braisa. Now we're talking about Lo Aleinu, a baby who died. How do you bury? What's the levai, the burial and funeral system of a baby? 1 second. The Tanya, Kol Shloishim Yoim, if the baby died when he was less than 30 days old. He died within the first 30 days of his life. Very small baby. He died. Then we don't give him a proper levaya of at least 10 people. Normally, Rashi says in other places, so in Shas, a levaya is to have 10 people. The baby is not very small. He doesn't deserve that much covet, especially also, what do you mean he's small? Within 30 days, he's not even called Baal Kayoma. He's not even called a live person yet. That's a Pidi Neben. He's only when he's 30 days old, right? Within 30 days, it's still like, we're not sure if he's going to live or die. It's still shaky. So then you don't give him a proper ceremony of levaya, of funeral. Yoitze b'cheik. He goes out not in a coffin or like wrapped in a talis, but rather held in the hands. Shalom el Chalila. His mother holds him in her hands. The dead body of the kid is held in the chek, in the bosom, in the hands, on the chest, in the hands of the mother. And the people go out to the field, to the cemetery to bury him. It's enough to have 3 people. Who are the people? 1 woman, I assume the mother, and 2 men. We have to have 2 men there to give him minimum covered. Not 10 people, at least 3. A woman and 2 men. Aval, however, don't forget about yichud. Loy b'ishechad v'shtei noshim. But because the cemetery is out of town, in a cemetery is a place where people can hide and do averos, and they can have, relations, the basic varas, and therefore, loy b'ishechad v'shtei noshim, 1 man with 2 women is not allowed because of yichud. That's the nekama. That's good. That's like the Mishnah said, right? You can't have 1 man and 2 women because the 2 women are going to listen to the man and they'll do what he wants and they'll all, and that's normal. Here comes the Kiddush. 1 second. Abba Shol no. Abba Shol says, no, it's okay. It's fine. Abba Shol says, no problem. Even 1 man and 2 women is okay. So Abba Shol seems to argue with our Tanakama, with the Tana of our Mishnah. What did you want to say? You good? It's not close to the city of the cemetery. I wanted to point out, excuse me for interrupting you, here is one of the clear sources that yichud, not everyone knows it, yichud is not only in a closed room in a residential place. Yichud could be in a forest, it can be in a deserted beach. People can do stuff there. Nobody goes there. You'll come from Chutz La'aretz. In America, in Europe, there are huge forests. You can go days and days without, in America for sure. Also in Eastern Europe, I saw. There are huge forests, and you can do whatever you want there for days without nobody seeing you. and therefore yichud is also there. And I'm saying halacha, yichud is also in these places, even though there are no walls. And basic varas, yeah. Okay, I'll tell you something offline later. What do you say? Good? Yeah, fine. No, it's not funny. Weiter, okay. So the Abba Shaul is not following our Tana, which is okay, because Abba Shaul is a Tana. They can argue. Yet the Gemara says, nevertheless, no. Afilu Abba Shaul. No. Abba Shaul, says the Gemara, rejecting what we said, he's not arguing with our Tana. Says Abba Shaul, Bishas Aninus Tovir Yitzrei. When those people, they're probably the close relatives of the baby, it's a mother and let's say not her husband, two men, an uncle, somebody, whoever, other people. In the Zman of Aninus, the Yetzer is broken. That's why. Normally, one man and two women would be Osir. One man, I don't know, maybe he's a grave digger, Chevra Kadisha guy, the mother and another woman, I don't know, other woman. Oh, then what? Although normally would be Osir, even according to Abba Shaul, because one man, two women is Osir, because they're so sad, they're thinking of the dead baby, the Yetzer is not playing, is not normal, is broken. There's no Yetzer Hara then. The Rabbanon, so why do Rabbanon forbid it? Rabbanon, why do they forbid? And they say, no, that you can never have three people going alone. Yeah, I mean, in other words, you cannot have one man and two women. Mashma Rabbanon are concerned that even by the time of the Aninus, there could be Yetzer Hara playing the game. Yes, Rabbanon are endorsed by Rabbi Yitzchak. Rabbi Yitzchak the Tana says, Mais oinen odom chai. Yeah, that's a famous pasuk from Eov. My son, is it Eov or Eicha? I'm getting confused. No, whoa. Where? My son, it's in Eicha. I'm talking nonsense, right? It's in Eicha. It's in Eicha. Yeah, I knew it's Eicha. It's fair. We say it every Tisha B'Av. Yeah, it's in Eicha. I knew it. I don't know why. Yeah, it says in Eicha, Yirmiyahu says, Mais oinen odom chai. The pasuk pshat of the pasuk. Why should a live person complain? Gever al chatov, a man over his sins. That's a pasuk pshat. What's a drosha? Isoinen also means aninus. Aninus means the first day of Avelus, the very raw day of harsh Avelus. Afil b'shas aninus shel Adam yitzro mizgaber olov. Wow, mais oinen Adam chai gever al chatov. In other words, you still have to gover. You have to overcome your yetzer, even in times of aninus. Sometimes in times of aninus, even then a person may still chap the yetzer would chap him, and even then he has to be aware. That's what Chachamim say, and therefore they say one man with two women is possible. Abba Shaul, Abba Shaul, who believes that in times of aninus, of severe avelus, he thinks the Yetzer Hara does not act, is on pause, is dormant. How do you explain the pasuk? Abba Shaul is a different explanation to that pasuk. Ki ksivahu, that pasuk, you know, this pasuk is about nothing to do with the Yetzer Hara. The Misraim al midoisav ksiv. Midoisav, says Rashi, koroisav v'koros oisoi. Misraim, he complains. A person who complains about his life. That happens every once in a while. It's not science fiction. The guy complains and krechtes about his bad life. The pasuk Yirmiyahu is now addressing that man. Ma'israim al midoisav. Why is that man b'chlal complaining about his occurrences, what happens to him, his life? The chigover al chatov. Is he such a tzaddik that he already, never sinned? Rashi says, "Shalechoteli." Why are you complaining? You're such a tzaddik. You don't think that you have averis that you have to atone for with your yisurim? He should be happy that I keep him alive. My son and Adam chai. Why are you complaining, man? You're alive. Say thank you, you're alive. You already overcame all your averis. Really, such a tzaddik? You didn't. So stop complaining about your bad life. You deserve it, and try and be a better person. The Rabbanon. Now, Lamaisa Rabbanon already answered. Rabbanon, now we're now giving an additional answer to Rabbanon who argue on the Bashol. Rabbanon say, now Rashi explains, Rabbanon say that even if you say that the Bashol is right, let's say Bashol is right, that in the times of the Yetzer Hara, in times of Aninus, the Yetzer Hara goes to sleep. Even if you say that's true, there's another completely different reason to aser one man and two women to have a baby levaya out of town. Why? Just like that story of that woman that she took out the baby. What does that mean? They fake it. Sometimes a man and two women really want to sin, but they live in the middle of Bnei Barak or Mesharim, live or Bechemesh, and they say, here, your place or mine, we're going to do it, yeah? And anyhow, people are going to talk and see. So what do? Let's go out of town. Out of town. We live in a small shtetl. All of a sudden, you see Beryl Schmerel and Sprinza and Chana going out of the village. What are you guys going to the forest? So they stage. They stage a levaya. They stage a baby levaya. She takes a doll and she wraps her up. She starts telling you a tall tale that a baby died, yeah? And now they're going to bury the baby and they look very sad and very crying. They go to apparently the cemetery. They're going to the forest and they're having a lot of fun. The fun that takes them to Gehenna. Yeah, so that, and such stories did happen. That's what the Gemara says. Yeah, there was really a woman who took out a baby. So then even one man with two women, even if you are right, Abba Shaul, even if you're right, that there's no Yetzer Hara by crying, but we shouldn't not allow it because they're fakers. And that would be a loophole for them. Rashi says something even more interesting. Rashi said there's another girsa, and the girsa is okay, yeah, there's another one. Yeah. Okay. No, with Kashal Mesa Yosel Midai. There's another explanation that Rabbanan say against Loshen Acher. Let's look together in the first wide line in Rashi. Rashi first wide line. Loshen Acher Memoyer Azoken V'lo Gersinan. Yeah, Rashi is going to explain. According to this Loshen, the Gil says a bit different. Lo Gersinan V'Rabbanon. According to this version, we don't add the word Rabbanon as if Rabbanon has to answer. Rabbanon already answered Bashol. They had different pshat in the pasuk. Elakula ka Bashol goes. We continue the mahalach of Abba Shaul explaining the pasuk. He should be happy he's alive. People shouldn't complain too much. Be happy that they're kept alive, yeah, and not complain all the time. On that, we continue on that happy, positive note. We say itza, like that woman. What was the story of that woman? Yeah, she had a dead. Somebody died in her family, and she overdid it. Like she really was so inconsolable. She could never accept any consolation. Wow. All the 7 children died, and she also died. Because she complained too much about Hashem. Her avelus wasn't healthy. Her avelus was like krechting and complaining and arguing with Hashem. So because of that, she died and the 7 children died. Tosfos says a different story. If we have time, we actually have time. Let's look at Tosfos. Look at Tosfos, very interesting story. Of what? That a baby died. I was thinking the same thing. Why do we, maybe it's Abba Shaul. Maybe Abba Shaul is not concerned of that staged levaya, because people would say, a baby died. We didn't hear of a baby dying. I hear maybe that Tutz Dodim. Look at Tosfos. This. Oh, it's true. On the other end, it was much more very good. It's true. It was much more frequent for babies to die. Like today in the third world, babies die. Yeah, for sure. And today in Africa also. Look at Tosfos. Listen to this. There was a woman, her husband really died, and she cried a lot over her husband's grave. In the cemetery, there was another man, and his job was to guard the hung person, the crucified or the hungry person, and his job was to guard him, that nobody should take him, I guess, yeah. I don't know, that people shouldn't take, no, it could be the relatives that want to take him off the hook, excuse the pun, yeah, even after his death. The melech, the king told him, you guard that dead guy who's tolui, which the king said should be hung, should be, yeah, and he was the shomer. He saw the woman crying over her husband, the dead husband. Upita oiso, he seduced her, the shamaloi, and she obeyed. She was seduced. In other words, the shomer, the guard of the cemetery, is supposed to guard the tolui. He went to the other place and had relations in the cemetery with a woman, yeah. And then now Now he went back to the hung person. Veloy mitzay. He didn't find him. The relatives took him away. Oy, 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 oy. V'oy mitztar me'od mipachad hamelech. So he was very scared because now the king's gonna, do with his head. I told you to guard the executed guy, and you didn't guard him. Where is he? Omer lo Isha. So his new friend, the woman, told him, Al tira, don't worry. Kach bayli mikivo v'tlebim koimoy. Take my husband from his grave, it's a fresh grave, and hang him instead of him. Hang my husband's dead body instead of that, and then the king will forgive you. So they did. He took out the husband, v'talu, and they hung the husband. Cute, no? Arei lecho. Who needs that's the thesis is better than any book. Lahavdil $5. Arei lecho, that is to say, shafil b'shas aninus nisgaber yitzro. Wow. You see, even by the time of aninus, the yetzer lo leinu never rests. The yetzer hara works over time. Her husband just died. She's crying over her husband, and yet she's seduced to go with another guy at kedekach, and then she's hanging her husband's bunda. Weiter. Avalisha achas. Yes, it's true. Yeah, truth is, it's true. Aval isha achas. Okay, so what did we say in the Mishnah? One woman with two men is okay. They were not going to tell on each other, respectable people. They may sin separately, and apotropos larayis. If it's just me and you, we'll talk later. So they would say, but together, the other man sees me. No. Amar V'Yehuda, here's a huge exception to the rule. Amar V'Yehuda Amar Rav, lo yishonu ela b'ksherim. That is only true by two kosher people. Whatever ksherim means is a big question. I went into it a few months ago in yeshiva. The people are, let's say, not known to be bala aveira. I'm going to explain soon. Aval beprutzim, afil be'asar namiloi. Wow. If those people are known to be poets, let's say you know that these people have, one of the Mefoshim explains there's a big call. There's a lot of rumors that these people, let's say Prince Abela, our good French Prince Abela, wants to have yichud with who? With Noach and Noson. And Noach and Noson are known in town. There's always stories about them, women, jokes, things. What? No, I didn't mean that. And even if we don't know that they sinned in the past, according to some opinions, there are too many rumors around them. Nobody talks like that about me or you, but Noach and Noson are always question stories about this and that. So according to some opinions, that already defines them as rutzim, as non-kosher Jews, and even 10 of those can't be alone with a woman. In other words, one woman with 10 men who are not kosher, they're not scared of each other. Where did we see that? I'm getting my sources from our own parak. At the beginning of the parak, we saw in the times of Bais Sheni, the Aser Shvotim, they would have men and women married together, one lo aleinu sleeping with the woman of the other one in the same bed. Shem Yishmo. Yeah. It says, we saw it not so long ago, at the beginning of the parak. It's a pasuk in Amos. Yeah. And in the Novi. So you see that, by Poretz people, once they lose the busha, there's no end to it. And therefore, there's no gvul, no limitation. And therefore, one woman with 10 men even that is also to have yichud. And that's no gal halacha. Your wife needs to take a taxi from the airport, and in the taxi is a taxi driver, and let's say the taxi goes through Charlotte's taxi intercity 3 o'clock in the morning, and he's taking her through not the main road, through a quiet road for whichever reason. No problem. I have 2 other friends. The taxi driver and his friends are not known to be tzanua. Sadly, today Chilonim are clearly. I'm nothing against miskenim, tinokim shenishbu, but we all know how today's society looks like. It's insane. So clearly, a person is not properly frum is becheskas povut. That's not even a question. A regular Chiloni could be nice and decent, but en apotropos larayis. So if your wife needs to be alone in the room for business, it happens. Women today work. She needs to be in a room in a board meeting or with 3 young and handsome Chilonim from Tel Aviv. No, she can't. She has to leave the door open. Again, it's not halacha shiur, do what you want. But I'm saying, no, what? Doctor is a shaila. Doctor, there has to be a secretary outside or come with another woman. These questions appear all the time. It's not simple at all. There was Chaim Valder. Oh, okay. Yeah, also true. Yeah, so now I feel beprutzim, I feel be'asor namiloi. Yeah, the prutzim, even 10 prutzim, you can't have one woman misyached with a few prutzim men together. Have a maise. You don't believe us? There's a case. There's a real life case. Have a maise v'otziu asaro b'mita. Another fake levaya. There was a woman, and she and 10 men wanted to sin together. Yeah, and then they faked it. She died. She's the one who died. Yeah, in other words, b'cheskas she'imeta. That can be staged, my friend. Yeah, they made the whole thing probably as if she's sick and if she's dying. And then what? To put her in bed. She wasn't dead at all. They took her out to the levaya, to the cemetery. And then instead of the cemetery, they went and did whatever they wanted. 10 men and one woman. Amav Yosef Teda. And Rabbi Yosef says, I'll prove it to you. The Michabri Be Asoro, the Ganvik Shura. You see, 10 people get together, a gang. You have a gang of 10 people of Ganovim, of thieves, the Ganvik Shura, and they steal together a very heavy beam. Let's say I want to steal a beam. I can't steal a very big beam. I'm not strong enough. I'm going to call 9 other friends, and together we'll steal the beam. Yeah, and you see that they're not ashamed of each other. So you see, sometimes there is organized crime. There's group crime. There's group rape. Right? Why? Gang rape. It's the worst thing in the world. And therefore, what? You see, people have no shame from each other. Shem Yishmo. Now the Gemara is attempting to bring a proof to what we just said, that purutzim are not kosher to be misyached with one woman. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 purutzim even cannot have yichud with the one woman. Name Mesayali. Let us see I don't know if it's a Mishnah of Rice, I didn't see it, a Tana from Masechet Soita. What's halacha in Soita? We all know that a Soita is not allowed to have relations with her husband or her boy-el, the one that she had relations with. She can't marry him either. Now, as long as it wasn't proven in Beis HaMikdash that she's guilty, she's assumed to be guilty. Tricked you. Yes. In other words, let's say there's no option of taking a woman to Beis HaMikdash, and there was kinui with Eid and stira, yichud, the whole thing with Eidim. They saw her going into a room with the man after she was warned. Yeah, it's too suspicious. She's assumed to have done the worst, and therefore her husband is also not allowed to be with her. So her husband and her are going now to Yerushalayim to still try and clear her name, but during their journey from Eilat to Yerushalayim, takes a long time on a camel. Yeah, they stop on the way, and they can't be alone. They're not allowed to be alone, the husband and the wife, because he and her are not allowed to have relations. Maybe they would want to, but they're not allowed to. So what do you do to make sure that they're not together alone? There are 2 Talmidei Chachamim that have to accompany them on their journey from wherever to Yerushalayim, to Beis HaMikdash, and they follow them. They're together with them in the room and everywhere. It says no yichud. Why? Shema yover le'ah b'derech. I told you why. Maybe the man and her would have bia on the way. I'll forgive you just for tonight. Tomorrow we'll continue the court case. What does it say? Talmidei Chachamim in shede'alma loi. You hear what the Tana said? Only Talmidei Chachamim should be with them and not regular people. So you see, the regular people are not Talmidei Chachamim. Maybe choshu to be poets. Very interesting. Again, interesting, because I would assume there's the middle of the road, right? There's Talmid Chacham, there's Porutz, there's a regular guy. But here, we probably Talmidei Chachamim are known not to be poets. Yeah, Talmidei Chachamim are clearly out of the definition of poets. So what do you see? Very good. You see, Rabbi Yehuda Amar Rav was right. Why is the Tana in Soita telling me that the people who have to go with the Soita and her husband, the Talmidei Chachamim, because only they would be the ones who will guard the husband, making sure it doesn't touch her. But if these people are poruts, they're on the princess on the smartphone, so the men and them together, they'll all have a party with a woman. They won't guard. In Hebrew there's a saying, you don't let the cat look after the milk. You've heard of that? Yes. That's exactly it. You let the cat guard the cream. You tell the men that are poruts, you look after the husband and the wife. They'll join them in the room. Zog the Gemara, no. There could be another reason. That's not necessarily a proof to Rav Yehuda Amar Rav. Shiny Talmidei Chachamim diyadi latruye bei. The reason why we bring Talmidei Chachamim and not Stam Joe Blow, not because Joe Blow is choshud to be a porut, but because the Talmidei Chachamim know exactly how to be masre, to give hasro to the husband. What's the hasro? Says Rashi. She'im yavo oleha en mayim boidkin oisa. Very good. The Talmidei Chachamim are knowledgeable, and they are able to tell the husband, listen, mister, if you actually have relations with her, you can't say, let's have it just tonight, and tomorrow we'll continue to base a mikdash, and then I'll see what happened. You won't see what happened. Because we learn in Daf Chav Zayin, remember, that the only case of soita is being checked. The soita check would only work out if the man is kosher. If the man is kosher, according to the Rambam, he never had any also relationship in his life. Only then the woman can be checked. Yeah, that's Shitas Rambam. That's what Chakis showing him. It's women in the postus. No, that's her friend. No, the pasuk says no Venika ish me'avoin. Venika ish me'avoin. This man Shiur menuka, right? The kids so the Talmidei Chachamim are the ones who know the halacha. They'll be able to tell them, hey, you're getting too close to her. You should know that if you have relations with her, then the water are not going to check. So your whole trip is for nothing. And he should know that first. Okay? We'll continue a little bit, although not much. Amud Avida Omarav gives another condition here. Loishna ela ba'ir. Yeah, let's say one woman can have yichud with two kosher men. Kosher men, they're known to have kosher internet, they're kosher. By the way, it sounds extreme, but there are such shittas nowadays. It's a big chiddush, and I feel funny saying it, but you should know that Rav Vosner sounds like a Soda Tshuva. He's hinting is in the direction of a person who doesn't have kosher internet and he's assumed to look at priestess in the internet is not a kosher person for yichud. One could argue and say, no, he's only watching it, but he's not going to do it. The other end can say, no, once he's already so heated up about what he sees, then he can also, true, he can pass a certain stage. So a person who's, let's say, watches priestess or assumed to be watching priestess things, may also be under the Agdor of Porutz. That's already a different level. So Bekitzer, Omar Vidamarav, Lo Yishna Be'ir. Let's say when we say that a woman can have yichud, not just with two kosher mehadrin men, that's only in town, inside the residential area. Aval Bederech, let's say she has to walk with them. She's traveling, she's a secretary, she's a businesswoman, and they're going on a business trip together. She in the car with two kosher, super Yerushalayim men. So it's not enough to have two people. Achu shloisha, you have to have three people, three men with a woman, not one. Oh, because maybe one of them will have to go and, relieve himself and go to toilet as we men do, behind a tree. And then if it's only two men, and he's going to take his time, I don't know, he's saying Ashayotzer for a long time, and he's doing his Natilas Yadayim, the tzaddik. Meanwhile, the woman with one man, as kosher as he may be, doesn't work. Yeah, they're on the way. She's in the car with one man. The other one went far to do his toilet to daven mincha. She's not alone with one man. That's not good, even if it's the biggest tzaddik in the world. And therefore, you have to have three people. In case one has to go, you always make sure that she stays wherever she is with two men. Okay, that we'll see tomorrow. I don't want to go. Okay, we'll repeat that tomorrow. Atzlacha uvracha pei aleph amud aleph. We're going to see some interesting stories. We see things don't change, and we have to work and always improve in Kedusha. There's a very, very nice site. It's called Vayamayin. They send you very nice inspirational videos every day about Shmir Seinaim. Atzlacha uvracha. May we all see nachas, the Kedusha from our children, and have a great day. And thank you to those who watch us on Torah Anytime and in the Heilige YouTube. Atzlacha uvracha.